Call to order the regular meeting of the Batavia City Council for Monday, July 15th, 2013. Would you all please rise for a brief invocation to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Tonight, as the City Council meets in regular session, we just ask for guidance and understanding and vision as we act upon the matters of business before us. As always, we want to remember all those from the Batavia community who are serving so honorably in the foreign service of the United States of America, and we just ask that a special blessing be showered upon each and every one of these men and women as they go forward defending the liberties of the United States of America, whether they be from Batavia or from any other part of the United States. Tonight, we also want to remember those in our community who are sick or infirmed, and we ask that a special blessing be showered upon them. We also just ask for guidance tonight as the City Council makes the decisions, and knowing that each and every one of us is here to ensure the very best interests of Batavia, both today and in future generations. We ask for all these blessings. Amen. Alderman Clark, would you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the City Clerk to please call the roll.
Alderman Brown is absent. Clark? Here. Atack?
Here.
Stark? Here. Jansen? Here. Wolf?
Here.
Sparks?
Here.
O'Brien?
Here.
Callahan?
Here.
Holman?
Here.
Sam?
Here.
Vasilian?
Here.
Saron?
Here.
McFadden?
Here.
Let the record reflect that 13 of the 14 elected members of the City Council are present and accounted for, so we have the necessary quorum to conduct business. Moving then to item number 4, items to be removed, added, or changed on the agenda. Alderman Sparks, as Chairman of Governmental Services, would you present this, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have one change. We'll be moving number 15, the assault weapons discussion, up to 10A. I move we accept the changes as presented.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Sparks, second by Alderman Stark, for the approval of the agenda as amended. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sparks?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Callahan?
Aye.
Holman?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Vasilian?
Aye.
Saron?
Aye.
McFadden?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Atack?
Aye.
Stark?
Aye.
Transit?
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
Agenda is approved, 13 yes, no nos, 1 absent. Moving then to item number 5, which is the presentation of the consent agenda. Alderman Sparks, as Chairman of Governmental Services, would you present this, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that we accept and place on file A, the Joint Committee of the Whole minutes for May 28th, June 4th, June 11th, and June 18th, 2013. B, the building reports for June 2013. Approvals under A, July 5th, 2013 payroll in the amount of $711,330. $1.76. B, the July 12th, 2013 account payables, the amount of $1,529,433.53. C, the City Council minutes for June 17th, 2013. E, Resolution 13-94-R, a storage area network with Hipscan, an amount not to exceed $36,894. Came out of JCOW with a vote of 12-0. And G, Resolution 13-95-R, authorizing execution easement of agreement with grant, authorizing the execution of easement agreement and grant of easement for 120 through 122 First Street. That also came out of JCOW with a vote of 13-0. I move we accept the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Sparks, second by Alderman Wolf, for the approval of the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Sparks?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Callahan?
Aye.
Holman?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Vasilian?
Aye.
Saron?
Aye.
McFadden?
Aye.
Clark? Atack?
Aye.
Stark?
Aye.
Transit?
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
Motion's approved, 13 yes, no nos, 1 absent. Okay, moving to item number 6, which are matters from the public. I'm told that we have a number of folks that have signed up to speak tonight. I am assuming that some of those want to address us on this discussion that they're proposing to have on assault weapons. And I guess what I would suggest is, so we kind of keep this thing in context, and so that everybody is kind of following on the same playbook, that if you want to discuss, make some comments about the assault weapons, that I will recognize you during that discussion and versus having you come up now and then we'll break into a bunch of other business and then go back to that. Trying to keep everything kind of together, if that's all right with everybody. I would suggest we would do it that way. So if anybody else in the audience would like to address something other than assault weapons, I'd entertain you at this point in time. Okay. Moving then to item number 7, which is the Main Street program, or Healing Art, somebody from Main Street here tonight? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Hi. This is the Main Street Minute. There were 84 Main Street volunteers who donated 214 hours for planning, meetings, programs, and events in June. For all occasions, Accessory Shop has relocated into the Gammon Corner Victorian House. Some Main Street successes for the past month. The Artisan Collective had another great turnout last week at 4 East Wilson, the old Pumpkin Patch location. Main Street has continued to utilize this event as a way to showcase our local businesses as well as available spaces. It was a fun way to get people into the space again. The next Artisan Collective will be Thursday, August 15th at 131 Flynn Street, next to the Batavia Township. Looking ahead, this Friday is the next performance in the Music Matters Summer Concert Series and will feature Heartache Tonight and Eagles Tribute Band. The concert is Friday, July 19th and starts at 7 p.m. at the Peg Bond Center. Saturday's Farmers Market had record attendance, with Windmill City Festival holding their pet parade down the street and a full day of events at the Riverwalk. There was a lot of activity downtown. Main Street will continue to find ways to utilize both the Riverwalk and River Street, just like we did with the Green Walk. One way is to start with the annual block party, A Taste of Batavia, which is scheduled to be held on Sunday, September 1st from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. The event will be hosted on both sides of the river, at the Riverwalk Peg Bond Center and on River Street. At the Riverwalk, we'll find participating restaurants. We'll have drink specials and $2 tastings. There will be live music and performances, kids' activities, and a play area, which may include face painting, balloon animals, and bounce houses, as well as long games, a bag tournament, and a classic car show. On River Street, we'll be hosting also participating restaurants with drink specials and $2 tastings, the classic car show. We'll be broadcasting classic rock music and activities to include a pie bake-off, a twist-off and hula hoop contest, and much more. For more information about downtown Batavia or upcoming events, please visit the Batavia Main Street website or call us at 630-761-3528. Our business of the month this month is Healing Arts Metaphysical Center. They have a small retail space as well as classes and workshops offered at 11 East Wilson Street in Batavia. Here to speak more about the business is owner Gina Orbe. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, thank you. I'm Gina. As was just mentioned, I have a new business in Batavia, and I want to just let you know that I have been made to feel incredibly welcome by the community, everyone that stops by. We offer an assortment of metaphysical products at Healing Arts. Those include things like crystals used for crystal healing, chakra sets, a number of different items from different cultures around the world that address different healing modalities in the metaphysical arena. For those of you that are not sure, the metaphysical arena is things that we are not able to specifically identify with our usual senses. Touch, smell, sense, things like how does color impact you, how does sound impact you. These are all different healing modalities that have been studied for quite some time now, and science tells us that all these things do work upon the body and on our different energy fields. I would invite all of you to come down to Healing Arts. We also offer a wide assortment of services, including Reiki, massage therapy, sound therapy. We have some very interesting classes that will teach you about different cultures and trainings that go on in different cultures for people who are considered shamans or medicine men. It's a great way to come and spend an afternoon, whether you're going to work on your emotional self or your physical self. Come join us. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to talk to you. I did drop off some cards and a class of our current, a schedule of our current class offerings. If anyone has any questions or would care to call us, we're at 630-780-6293. You can also get a lot of information on our website or Facebook page, and they're both on the card and on the schedule of class offerings. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to Batavia.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to item number 8, which is a presentation tonight by Chris Hamilton from the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Chris?
Thank you for letting me come back again. It's my hope to come back every year and do a report to you. I will tell you that this is going to be a very in a nutshell version of what's happened since the last time I came before you, because it would take us 6 hours to talk about all the different things that we've been doing. You've got a packet in front of you that shows examples of some of the promotions and marketing that we've done, and again, it's the same way. It would be, much thicker than that, but I try to tailor it to sort of things that speak specifically to Batavia, so you can flip through some of that as we go along, and you've also got a copy of the presentation. The thing that when I came before you the last time, I hadn't even been here a year, so I've now been here for about a year and a half. I'm getting close to 2 years now. And I learned a lot of things when I first got here, particularly within our organization, within the office. And so I'm just going to touch on a handful of items, including the big picture. And that is that we went out, myself, even had board members participate in this, and our staff, and we figured out that we really do have in our area a great destination for people to come to, not just leisure travelers, but people that are looking for places for meetings, some sporting events, things like that. We've been working on figuring out who those people are specifically, so we don't sort of take the spray and pray approach to our marketing and promotions. We really do want to spend our dollars effectively and go after the people that we have the greatest potential to get to come here. And in our sales efforts, it's kind of the same thing. We wanted to figure out, do we really have the ability to land a whale, or do we really need to be fishing for buckets of bluegill? So we've learned a lot, in the past year and a half or so. For us, we had to take care of a lot of little things to be able to start looking at the big picture. The way I explain it to our staff is that, we've got to get in shape. My methods of doing things were quite different than the person that was here before me for 20 years. And so, I really had to train staff. I also had to start finding staff that had sort of the energy and enthusiasm and came to the table, I'd like to say pure of heart, and would be a part of our organization and sort of embed themselves into the community and start doing the things that we really needed to do. So we've been, we've had a little turnover, and I'm still searching for certain people to fill certain roles. We improved our efficiency within the office, right down to the little things like cleaning up storage space and eliminating things that we didn't need anymore. We've spent a lot of time getting the house in order. So, if we don't have any money, we really can't do a lot. And I'm greedy when it comes to that. I'm not ashamed to admit it, because the more money we have, the better we can do our job, and the more marketing and promotion of our communities, including Batavia, that we're able to do. So, slash 24 items out of the budget. We're now getting ready to work on my first budget that's not one that I inherited. We know that we need to grow our lodging revenue, not just because we get money from our lodging collections, but because if we're growing our lodging revenue, that means we're growing overnight stays, which means we're growing our economic impact across the area. And then, of course, I learned a lot about the grant opportunities that are out there, and I can tell you that in this fiscal year, we will actually, and we just got our last notification just earlier today, we're eligible for every single grant. We completed all the paperwork appropriately, and we're now in the final process of finding out just how much money we're going to be able to get through grant opportunities to increase our budget that way too. So data collection has been huge. Again, some of our tactics have been pretty simple. We have a notepad beside everybody's phone. They have instructions. Every single person that calls, ask for their name, ask how they learned about us, ask what their interests are. Don't just get their address and say, yes, I'll mail you a travel guide We'll drop it in the mail tomorrow. We actually want to collect data. We are also doing a lot of collection through our social media, and then we're actually working with some organizations and doing some digital advertising that provides us additional data, because we want to have more power and know, again, that we're not just, taking the shotgun approach and getting the most out of our dollars. We obviously needed to improve our presence in our communities. It was one of the very first things that I learned when I first got here, is that we needed to refamiliarize you with us. And so I try to make a personal effort to get out there, but we've also joined our local chambers of commerce as our economic development organizations. We've literally doubled our partner database, and we send information out to twice as many people we consider partners that we work with routinely on different projects of any kind. And we participate in more things. We've done business expos within the service area. We don't do marketing of our events and activities typically within the service area, because we're going for overnight visitors, but we are doing a better job of marketing ourselves, so that not only you, but your constituents know that we exist and that we are a service that they can utilize. And so the drum roll is the results of all of this. The 5 counties that we impact, the tourism and travel economic results were pretty good in the last year. Expenditures are up 7.5%, payroll's up, employment's up, the local tax receipts are up, because if we're doing our job effectively, we're also growing the tax coffers elsewhere. I put our some website statistics on there just because it is the major tool that we use to get information out and to get people interested in us. I got to tell you, these figures were through May, and some of these are even larger than what I originally predicted. Our lodging revenue is a little flat in my opinion, but we figured out it's not necessarily that our lodging business is down, it's that a lot of our lodging are taking a lot of long-term stays for one reason or the other, and long-term stays aren't subject to tourism taxes. So it looks like lodging is flat, but that doesn't necessarily mean our hotels don't actually have a occupancy. They actually do. So page views were up, and I'm particularly proud of that, because that means people are now not only getting to our website, but they're spending time there. Some of the numbers on our engagement figures, they seem a little out there, but it really is the truth. Our Facebook fans, it's a 2-year figure, but when I first got here, we just had over 500 Facebook fans, and Facebook has become very, very important to us, because we are getting in front of a lot of people. The number when I created this was 6,300. We're nearing the 8,000 mark now. So, it has really taken off. We're engaging more people. We're doing more Facebook advertising because we can direct it more. Our opt-in newsletter, a lot of people say that email is not where it's at anymore, but we've been pleasantly surprised at how many click-throughs we get on our email and how many people are signing up for it. So we think there's still value in that, and we are able to do a lot more with that than we can in some of our paid advertising. And again, I mentioned our partner database. We've really grown that quite a bit, and again, it's larger than 33% now, because we've probably added 45 or 50 more people just in the past month. Our direct contacts is really, really important, because that means that somewhere out there in one form or fashion, we caught somebody's eye and it was enough to make them act. And we motivated them to want more. So our direct contacts, literally, as you see, 69%. We had 100,000 contacts in this fiscal year, and that's pretty nice. As long as that keeps going up, that means we know that we're getting people interested. I left this slide in from last year because when I came to you, I told you I wasn't just going to come give you a smoke and mirrors, version of a presentation. We weren't going to actually go back and actually do the work. So a lot of the things that were in the cloud there, you'll see we are actually doing those things. Our board is absolutely fantastic. They don't get a slap on the back as often as the Bureau might. as an entity, but these are the people that are there. I have a working board. They show up for committees. They put a lot of effort into this. Your representative, Meredith Hanna, left us recently when she left, and so we're looking forward to getting a Batavia representative back on the board. And so I'll stop there and ask, does anyone have any questions?
Any questions from the council?
Oh, yes, sir. All of the hotels in our service area, we represent 10 cities. So we're Batavia, North Aurora, Montgomery, Yorkville, Sandwich, yeah. No, we're looking forward to the day that you do, but you don't have to have yeah, and you don't have to have a hotel to be a part of our organization. You're still an asset to us because of many of the things. We just had a focus group upstairs, and many things we talked about there. It makes you a very valuable asset to us, and we want to be a very valuable asset back to you. So.
Other questions from the council? Thank you. We thank you for your good efforts. Look forward to many more years of working with the Aurora Tourism Convention Bureau, and onward and upward. Been very impressed with your leadership and your drive and new innovations into the organization, and I think the region is starting to show the results. So thank you for all your good efforts.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, moving to item number 9, which is a presentation on the quilt show and Civil War reenactment by Carla Hill.
Hello. Thank you for letting us be here tonight. We're here actually to promote a new event for Batavia for this fall. But before we do that, I would like to promote another event that the museum is doing this weekend. It is our 7th annual Quilt and Textile Show at the Eastside Community Center right here in Batavia. It's a beautiful show. We have over 150 quilts. They're vintage and contemporary quilts. We are featuring Civil War era quilts this year, as well as a special exhibit called Generations, which will feature children that make quilts as well as their parents and grandparents. So it should be really a lot of fun. So I did put something in front of you today, and if you could make it for the event, we would love to see you. And with me tonight, I have Dr. Trevor Steinbach. He is an author and a reenactor, and he actually is the one that came to me to talk about this Civil War reenactment that we want to do this fall on the Riverwalk. Trevor?
Good evening. I've been a resident in this community since 1988, and I've been involved in Civil War reenacting and living history since the early 90s. Batavia is unique in the fact that the 124th Illinois Volunteers Company B had 86 men who all signed up from the Methodist Church men's Sunday school class right up the hill and became a major factor in a number of battles, including Vicksburg. It also was led by the local town assessor at that time. Our goal is to give the residents, since this is the 150s, an experience and a discussion through dialogue with presentations of what the boys of Batavia experienced from 1862 to 1865. We're involving the Batavia Depot Museum, the Park District, the Historical Society, my group, which is a not-for-profit group, the 17th Corps Field Hospital, and the Batavia Public Library. In front of you, you have some of the events. There's an Artifacts of the Civil War, which I encourage you to go to the museum and check out. We're going to be doing special exhibits of Civil War books with the Public Library, an Artifacts of the War exhibit on medical instruments of the Civil War. We have a special presentation coming up in September on women in the Civil War. That's an interactive presentation. I know you will definitely enjoy Mother Bickerdike at that one. And then the You Are There Batavia Civil War Encampment Weekend, which is basically a living history And we have a tentative schedule that we've attached to the sheet that was at your spot for Saturday and Sunday, September 7th and September 8th. That's the weekend after Labor Day, involving medical demonstrations, infantry, artillery, museum, music, all kinds of experiences free for the public that can come down and learn about history in Batavia and history during the Civil War. We think it's going to be an exciting opportunity for the community. We're anticipating somewhere in the 4,000 to 5,000 people will come down and see us between City Hall and the museum as we're encamped, and it ought to be good for the merchants in downtown Batavia too, as a lot of people will be coming and visiting us. We also have a concert on Saturday night of Civil War music, and I know you'll enjoy that. If you like Stephen Foster music on and off during the day, we will have musical presentations in the depot also. It's going to be an exciting time in Batavia as we kind of give our celebration of the Civil War between now and the end of the year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving to item number 10, which is a presentation on Party in the Park. Alderman Wolf, do you want to do the introduction on this?
Thank you. This is a local group that put this together, some high school students, and basically in memory of a fellow classmate that committed suicide several years ago, and they wanted to find a way that they could positively impact the community and bring about some change and raise some money for suicide prevention, which is located in Batavia. And here they are to speak to us.
Gina, give
everyone.
us your names and addresses for the clerk, for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Mary Wolf. I live at 916 Blair Street, Batavia, Illinois. All right. Hello, my name is Mary Wolf. Most of you know me as Second Ward Alderman Alan Wolf's daughter. However, tonight I am just another Batavian with a story. Ben Wilkinson and I were best friends from the time we were babies and throughout our childhood. He was a normal high school kid. He ran cross country, was part of the Marmion and Rosary Theater program, and he even had a full ride ROTC scholarship to the school of his choice. However, secretly, he was struggling with depression, and no one knew about it. On January 18th, 2011, Ben Wilkinson committed suicide. I can remember my father telling me in the counselor's office at the high school what happened that morning. I never thought I would hear those words come out of his mouth about Ben, or any of my friends for that matter. I never thought this would happen to someone that I grew up with and loved like a brother. This is a feeling I would never wish on my worst enemy. I knew I needed to do something to help, and this is why I started volunteering for an event called Party in the Park. Now I'm going to welcome Emily Roberts and Ben Minnis, the co-founders of Party in the Park. Emily is currently studying business and Spanish at the University of Iowa, and Ben is studying psychology and business at Loras College. Together they create an amazing team, and both are very excited to talk to you about this event.
So like Mary said, my name is Ben Minnis, and my address is 1305 Burnham Lane, Batavia. As Mary said, Party in the Park began in 2011 in response to the devastating loss of our friend Ben Wilkinson. In Batavia, we have lost 3 teenagers to suicide in the past 3 years. Party in the Park seeks to end suicide by bringing a voice to struggling teens and breaking the stigma surrounding mental illness. Depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and eating disorders are some of the many mental illnesses teens battle today. Unfortunately, it's hard for teens to understand that what they are battling is a brain disorder, not a character flaw. We hope to change this by educating our community about mental illness and helping teens understand that it's okay to speak up and it's okay to seek help, that there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Mental illness can put teens in a dark and hopeless place, a place they feel alone and isolated, a place where mental pain outweighs their ability to envision a better tomorrow. We hope to help teens identify and understand mental illness symptoms, be comfortable seeking help, and gain awareness of resources available. We hope to equip struggling teens with the right tools to fight their mental illness while creating a community of caring and understanding individuals.
And here we are, a movement. We've raised awareness among hundreds of event attendees, and as of last week, we've raised over $20,000 over the last 3 years. Our benefiting organization, Suicide Prevention Services, serves not only the Batavia community and the surrounding areas through support groups and counseling services, but the entire country via a national crisis hotline. Batavia should be proud to house an organization with such a huge scope of impact. I think Ben would agree that one of the best parts of working on the fundraiser is what happens when we talk about it. When people ask me how my summer is going, and I tell them I'm working on a suicide prevention fundraiser, they have one of two reactions. They pretend I didn't just say that and promptly change the subject, or they tell me their story about a time when they've struggled with depression or lost someone as we have. We've had the opportunity to meet the entire spectrum of the Batavia community. From those of you here in the city government who have attended or supported our event, including Mayor Schelke, Alderwoman Jamie Sam, Alderwoman Susan Stark, Alderman Alan Wolf, and Executive Director of the Batavia Chamber of Commerce and Suicide Prevention Advocate Roger Breisch, to the other side of the spectrum, like Batavia High School student Brooke Belair, who, with her mom, recently wrote and published a book which chronicles her struggle with depression and includes a chapter on Party in the Park. This fostering of community is essential to maintaining Batavia's position on the forefront of the battle to reduce teen suicide, a position we can't afford to lose. With this in mind, we hope you'll join us this Saturday at the Batavia Riverwalk for a 5K, food, and a concert, or online at facebook.com/PITP community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move, we'll move then to item number 10A as per the action of the consent agenda at the beginning of the meeting. And just as a little word of explanation, this was originally brought up at our City Council Joint Committee work session last Tuesday night by members of the City Council, that they wanted to have a discussion on the idea of a local assault weapons ban. And given what I knew were the complexities of this particular issue, and that time, I asked that the city attorney's law firm, Trendle and Jancis, prepare for the city council so that the aldermen would have a full understanding as to the ups and downs and the pros and cons and the ins and outs of what this whole ordinance idea would involve, to put together a memo, which they did. And all the members of the city council were sent this, I believe, last Friday, or beginning of the weekend. And I would tell you that it certainly confirmed my thoughts on what I thought we were talking about as far as a local ordinance-supported assault weapons ban, given the fact that historically local ordinances are about as weak a government as there is. And the abilities of you to control or enforce or enact anything on a local ordinance, in my experience as the mayor of this community for a number of years, local ordinances mean probably nothing more than either a slap on the wrist or a small fine. And certainly anybody that's going to involve themselves in an assault weapons attack or whatever we're going to have here would not be something that you would want to see handled with a local ordinance charge. So I asked the city attorney to prepare this document. They did. I was very pleased with the results. And certainly based on that, it is my recommendation, and I'll say this right at the very beginning going in here, that the city council take no action on this issue, and that we quietly let this thing just kind of fall into the night and disappear after the 19th, which is this coming Thursday, based on the state law that says that this has to be enacted within 10 days after the approval of the act. I am hard-pressed to see how a local ordinance would have any direct impacts of either pro or con on this thing, given the constraints that we are operating under through the judicial system and under the state statutes. Certainly, if somebody comes into our community and uses a gun, we need to use all the very best laws and powers that we have available to us at the state and federal level. And local ordinance, which is basically equivalent, in my opinion, to a slap on the wrist, is not something that we should be enacting here. I would ask the city attorney tonight if he would, for the benefit of those in the audience, just briefly go over with you his document so you can understand what the rest of the city council has been told. Mr. Drentham.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. As has already been said, and probably everybody knows, the state of Illinois passed a concealed carry law. They did not include an assault weapons ban, but they opened a 10-day window following the passage of the act, allowing municipalities to pass a local assault weapons ban. It's been asked of me whether this, whether our action or inaction affects our home rule status. It does not. And just as a bit of background, home rule communities derive their authority directly from the Constitution, but it's not unlimited authority because it can be preempted by state statute, by the legislature, and that's what the case is here, where the state legislature has acted, and they have preempted local authority but for this 10-day window. It really has no other effect on home rule status whatsoever. My assessment, in my memo, I defined assault weapons, and I gave a little bit of background. I addressed the federal assault ban that was in place for a time and no longer is in place, along with some statistics, and I won't go through that. But I will address my assessment of the effectiveness or potential effectiveness of a local assault weapons ban, which basically is my analysis. As the mayor mentioned, local authority is limited. It's limited to no more than a $750 fine and to no more than 6 months jail time. Currently, we don't write tickets or ordinance violation citations that involve jail time. We let, if there's a violation of some law, we let those be written as state charges and prosecuted as state charges because state penalties carry more teeth than local ordinance penalties do, and therefore we just simply don't write those kinds of citations. If we were to write those types of citations, we would have to provide, have jail space to hold people. We would have to handle the prosecution of those things ourselves. The higher standard of burden of would apply. So there's more complex prosecution that goes on with something that carries the potential of jail time. We would have to pay for counsel. If someone was indigent and didn't have the ability to pay for their own counsel, we would have to provide counsel to defendants at our cost. So there's a lot of burden that falls on a local municipality to impose penalties that include jail time, which really is something that we're not well equipped to do at this point, and it's not something that we do. Beyond that, this really is the type of thing that that needs an extra local authority. If there was ever going to be something like an assault weapons ban, it really isn't very effective at a local level when you've got other municipalities that don't have a ban. So the effect and the ability of the city to adopt something that would have any effect is really pretty minimal, in my opinion. And that's my analysis.
Very good. Do we have any comments or questions from the members of the city council?
I'll make a comment.
Alderman Wolf?
I see no benefit whatsoever to looking at this any further than what we're talking about tonight. I think there are so many things that we could spend time and money on that would provide such a better benefit to our community. Even as simple as speed reductions on some of the highways that we have. We've definitely had more people killed in the city by cars than by guns. And I think if we wanted to spend time and money on something, that would be something we could go after with some tangible results. I see no benefit to going after this.
Alderman Sparks?
Yeah, just a word. People are very passionate when it comes to their constitutional rights. In our oaths of office, we solemnly swore to support the Constitution of the United States and law of the state of Illinois. The Second Amendment is being one of them. The Second Amendment argument's been through the courts, it's been through the U.S. and Illinois legislative bodies, it's been discussed and voted on, it's gone its route, probably will go further, but I don't feel that we need to be discussing this on a local level there. So I'm against any type of gun restriction or weapons ban on our level.
Anybody, Alderman Stark, did you have?
No, I agree with both what Alderman Wolf and Alderman Sparks said. To me, this is a non-issue. We're one small town in the middle of a lot of towns that couldn't impose this if they wanted to. So I'm fine with leaving it just as it is or not adding to it.
Anybody else? Alderman Holman?
Yeah, I'm with them as well. I'm not in support of moving it forward any further on this issue whatsoever.
Anybody else? Well, let me ask, does anybody on the council care to make a motion about this at this time?
I would make a motion that we table this discussion and let it rest.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Sparks, second by Alderman Holman. That we table the issue. Any discussion on that motion? Clerk, call the roll.
Sparks?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Callahan?
Aye.
Homan?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Vasilian?
Aye.
Saron?
Aye.
McFadden?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Atack?
Aye.
Stark?
Aye.
Transit?
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
Motion's approved, 13 yes, no no's, 1 absent. I know we got a whole bunch of people who signed up to speak, but we've kind of, we've kind of made the decision here, so, Duke, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Would you give us your name and address for the clerk?
Well, 811 Manchester in Batavia, Illinois. This is good news for everybody in Batavia, and it should be good news to a lot of other people who are concerned about gun rights. I do have, in fact, I think you know why I've been hanging around the last few weeks during the city council meetings, because I am looking at a very passionate subject to me. I am a gun supporter, and also I'm an angry taxpayer. But I'd like to drive one more point home if anyone should ever think about trying to bring this subject up again. About a year ago, Todd Vandermeid from the National Rifle Association had spoke before the Batavia City Council meeting. And his message was, and this is for the councilmen that weren't here, his message was the high cost of litigation. And of course, these cases were in litigation at the time, you know, the ones I'm only going to do 3 of them, but they were in litigation at the time he was speaking, and he didn't have the end result at the time. Well, I have some of the end results here, and I'd like to just disclose them to you. The McDonald case, the NRA versus Chicago, of course, the court struck down the Chicago gun laws, and then the courts ordered Chicago to pay $663,000 reimbursement to the NRA for their attorney's fees. The NRA versus Oak Park, it was a related case. They were tried together. The court struck down the Oak Park gun laws and ordered Oak Park to pay the same amount, $663,000 reimbursement for the NRA attorney's fees. That's like $1.3 million, and those cities lost their cases. And that doesn't count how much money that the city, each city's attorney, that they had paid their own attorneys. So that number is even higher. The last case, Gowder versus Chicago, Gowder was backed by the NRA, and he won the case, and the courts ordered Chicago to pay $125,000 reimbursement for the NRA attorney's fees. If Batavia wants to pass any gun ordinances, of course, these gun ordinances are liable to fail, and they probably will. You've noticed that a lot of court cases have been failing. You may not have to worry about the gun people showing up here, but you probably will have to worry about angry taxpayers like me. It's expensive enough to live in this town without worrying about putting more holes in my wallet by fighting losing court cases and spending my tax dollars doing it, using my tax dollars to fight me. So I just want to let you know that these court cases cost money, and this is what Todd Vandermeide had to say. I had some other comments, but I'm going to abbreviate those because right now they're moot. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll talk maybe later with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the issue?
May I say something as a citizen and not necessarily as an alderman? Go to the
Go right there.
podium. So I've cast my vote. We know where we stand. I had some comments prepared on this, and I guess the one last point I'd like to point out is the manner in which this is, whether you've been for or against the manner in which it's been opposed. And I just want to read you a quote from a letter I received while considering this, and I read all the letters I've received. And this quote says, "While we don't know which village or city will pass such an ordinance and therefore be chosen for a legal challenge, we do know one or more will. We have confirmed this. So you may want to consider budgeting for the legal fees." This is from a non-resident lawyer representing an unnamed local group. And just in case his message wasn't clear, attached to his letter was a draft complaint naming me, the mayor, and the rest of the city council as defendants. So consider this. There's a group of people demanding no restrictions placed on the type of weapons they may own and utilize in a law-abiding fashion, while at the same time pointing a legal and financial gun at the city council saying, "Give us your vote or we'll shoot." Irony is clearly not dead. Thank you.
All right, well, we thank you. Somebody else want to speak?
My name is Dave Rediger, and first of all, I want to thank you, Mayor, for doing something that is uncommon in most city councils as far as opening in prayer. And that's not politically popular in a lot of places now, but I hope it stays popular here, because many kings and presidents have realized that without God at the helm, that they've got nothing. They've got no leadership, and that the wisdom, only wisdom, comes from God Almighty. And I'm glad that that we invoke that request from Him at the beginning of the council meetings. I would like to say this: that with the comments on the assault weapons ban, that even if laws were such, or that cities had the ability to have powers as strong as the state or the federal government, I would hope that the choice would still be the same as what was today the choice, the fact of not doing it. Not because it would be just a slap on the wrist, but because there are higher authorities, higher powers here, higher principles here with the Second Amendment. There are a couple, I'm going to grossly abbreviate what I had originally slated here, but one person here, a senator, Hubert Humphrey. It's not my favorite senator, but this one comment here was pretty important from 1960. He said, "Certainly one of the chief guarantees of freedom under any government, no matter how popular and respected, is the right of the citizens to keep and bear arms. The right of citizens to bear arms is just one guarantee against arbitrary government and one more safeguard against a tyranny, which now appears remote in America, but which historically has proved to always be possible." And there are other quotes from Todd Thomas Jefferson, no free man shall ever be debarred the use of arms. The strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is as a last resort to protect themselves against tyranny in government. And it seems very strange and bizarre that we would ever be even talking about this here in the United States of America. But there is an underground push to remove weapons from America. Dianne Feinstein, senator from California, is one example. The chief of police of San Diego, California, he said that he believes that within our lifetime, we could get rid of all the arms. Okay, the President of the United States is for getting rid of weapons. And the thing is, it's a very important thing that we maintain this right and that we penalize the people that use weapons illegally and commit crimes. And I just thank everyone here for their strong support for the decision, Mayor, that has been made tonight. Thank you.
Now, we would like to ask if we refrain from doing any clapping. We don't normally allow that. We would ask that you not do that. Would you give us your name and address for the clerk, please?
Charles McBrain, 227 Ford Street, Geneva, Illinois, almost 50 years. My standing here would be that I've owned and operated Fox Cab Company in the Valley for 27 years, and it's our pleasure to help the police and other members of the community when they need our services. I wanted to say that we all salute the chamber and the aldermen here in the city council. It's not an easy job. You've given, in cases, years, in cases, decades to making Batavia a better place. And it's it's manifest when we see Batavia today always growing and going. I greet everybody here with differing views, and that's how we should look at it. I was a member of the Armed Forces Reserve for 24 years and a U.S. Coast Guard federal officer for 14 years, and I still, in my 75th year, I still fire at the one of the ranges around up in Rockford. And I think that we all have points of view, and they should be honored and worked out. The city is going to be looking at what they've done in Springfield, and there are going to be changes to that for the better, I hope. So it's not a final bill. It's been enacted, but the Illinois State Police will work on it. But I just say that it's we all work towards doing better things. Your Honor and everybody else, thank you very much.
Okay, I thank everyone for coming down tonight. We've still got a healthy agenda that we've got to work on. Give us your name and address for the clerk, please.
Lee Marco, 2 South 875 Verdant Road, Batavia, Illinois. When are the permits going to be made available? The application for a permit for concealed carry?
I have no idea.
So if you were theoretically to carry concealed now that the law is in effect, what would be the repercussion?
You can't carry.
Well, according to the...
If you're in southern Illinois.
Get your permit.
The state police has 6 months to be able to come up with a plan.
I thought it was 30 days to approve the...
To enact the legislation.
Yeah, that's the one interesting thing I find about the bill.
It
is
seems so haphazard.
They're going to have to, they're doing all this background and investigation. When video poker was originally proposed for
Right,
Illinois,
it's-
there was going to be background checks done on all the licensees, and there was going to be a technological backbone put on every machine, video poker machine in the state of Illinois. Last I knew, we hadn't gotten either one of those
we still haven't
accomplished
done
yet
that.
either, so.
So I was just curious as to that. You know, I thought they were supposed to be available at the local police department at this point.
We don't have
The
anything, so.
applications.
so.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you all
That's
for
all
coming
I
down
have.
tonight.
May I just say something, please? I'm sorry.
I just want to say I am not a gun owner, and I am not looking to take anybody's guns. But now that, I have a family and I have children, and I see people who are going to be walking around our streets now carrying weapons. And that's kind of a frightening thing to me. And I'd put it upon all of you, everybody who wants to carry a gun, that you're feeling a lot safer. I feel less safe. Second Amendment, I think when that was founded was because we had no standing police. We had no law enforcement. We now have a very fine police force, one of the finest in Northern Illinois. That being said, I'm still not looking to take your guns, defend yourselves. But we do have a 17-year-old boy in Florida who was shot dead. And I just say that, the man who killed him was not a racist, and I don't believe he was an evil man. But he killed a young boy thinking he was defending himself. And if he didn't have the gun, there'd be no death in that instance. In that instance, there'd be no death. I'm just telling you what's out there. So I'm just putting it upon you that you exercise a lot of restraint. Now people leave because that's good. You exercise restraint and consideration for other people, that you don't just go drawing for your gun immediately. So, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I respond to that, please?
Oh, Jesus, I shouldn't have.
If you would do it very briefly, because I've got a whole agenda.
Just in the state
I'm
of
not going to discuss the Second Amendment with you.
I'm not discussing. What I was just going to say is that in the state of Illinois, if you see what you see as far as people carrying guns openly, that is not legal. That has not been allowed. It will not be allowed under the new concealed carry for the state of Illinois. They have to be either partially or mostly concealed, and so that's not going to happen or should not happen in Illinois, period. And Florida has a concealed carry as well. Very few states have it where it's open carry. Oklahoma has open carry, but most of it is concealed, so that it would not have the kind of fears that you would have by seeing people openly carrying.
Even concealed. I mean, I don't know who has it. I don't go around looking for trouble. But if I'm having dinner with my family, and someone breaks into a fight, and the guns are pulled, well, the police have training. They have training monthly on how to handle guns, not just go at a firing range shooting them, but they have situational incidents where they when to fire, when not to fire. I mean, I don't think anybody in the gallery here has that kind of training. And I'm not attacking anyone. I mean, people hunt,
Understood.
please hunt. I mean, you're a sportsman, you shoot competitively, that's a great thing. But the training is not there, and that's the frightening fact.
State of Illinois has the most intensive hour training than any state in the nation for this particular thing. Granted, it's not as much as what a police officer would have, but it's the most intensive of any. Requires $150, requires extensive background check and so forth. So, hopefully these things will not happen that you're talking about.
I hope not.
Thank you for coming down. We're going to move on to item number 11 on the agenda, which is ordinance 13-31, amending the city code Title II, Chapter 1 regarding the Batavia Plan Commission. And who's got this one tonight?
Alderman Brown is not here. I could take
Joel?
it if you want.
I think Joel Straussman has it.
Joe, are you going to talk about this?
Yes, I am going to talk about briefly.
I was going to say, I can present it.
Is that better? Okay.
There you go.
Okay, currently, the city code does not have a provision for the establishment of a city plan commission. The code did have a provision for the establishment of the commission up until 2010. It was inadvertently removed. We are now restoring it. So that's issue number one. A second issue is at the same time that we are reinstating the language to establish the plan commission in the city code, we are also proposing that the plan commission be comprised of 7 members instead of the 9 members that it currently is. The 2 members that would no longer be part of the plan commission would be the members that the code had required to be on the commission to represent the Batavia School District and the Batavia Park District. At the July 2nd Joint Committee of the Whole, the committee reviewed the proposal. They felt that the that it would be okay to reduce the number of plan commissioners from 7 to 9. They noted that there is an inequity in having representation only from the Batavia School District and the Batavia Park District, since the Batavia City proper is served by 3 school districts and 2 park districts, and the entire planning area serves many more districts. It was revealed at the Joint Committee of the Whole meeting that staff has not received any negative comments from either the school district or the park district. Plan Commission Chair Joan Joseph addressed the committee and felt that the Plan Commission could carry on very well with 7 members. What you have in front of you this evening is Ordinance 13-31, which includes Exhibit A for the proposed language to establish the Plan Commission in the City Council, as well as the requirement for 7 members.
May I have a motion to approve?
I move we pass ordinance 13-31, amendment to the City Code Title 2, Chapter 1, regarding the Batavia Plan Commission.
Any discussion?
Motion,
Oh,
motion by
second.
Alderman
O'Brien, second by Alderman Stark.
Right. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan. Holman. Sam. Vasilian. Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Clark. Atack.
Aye.
Stark. Transit. Wolf.
Aye.
Sparks.
Aye.
Motion, ordinance 13-31 is approved, 13 yes, no nos, 1 absent. Moving to item number 12, which is resolution 13-96-R, Special G, Class G, Special Use Liquor License due to Fantelli's Incorporating doing business as Aliano's Restaurant for Albright Theater performances. Who's got this one? Alderman Sparks?
Thank you. Do Fratelli Inc., doing business as Aliano's Restaurant, and the Albright Theater have entered into a partnership so the theater can serve beer and wine at its performances. Do has applied for a Class G license, which would allow those sales. State law currently only allows special use licenses to be utilized 15 times during a license year at any single location. Albright has some 24 performances, which would be labeled adult during a year. The dates approved in this resolution are for the first 14 Friday and Saturday evenings of adult performances, so the theater can see how this works and explore other options. I move that we pass Resolution 1396R Class G Special Use Liquor License to Do Fratelli.
Moved by Alderman Sparks, second by Alderman Wolf for the approval of Resolution 13-96-R, the granting of the Class G special use to Fantelli's. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Sparks.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Holman.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Vasilian. Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Clark. Atack.
Aye.
Stark. Transit. Wolf.
Aye.
Resolution 13-96-R is approved, 13 yes, no nos, 1 absent. Moving to item number 13, which is Resolution 13-97-R, easement agreement with Fifth Third Bank for public parking and public sidewalk. Who's got this one? Alderman Wolf.
Thank you. This resolution is what staff has been working on with Fifth Third Bank for easements for both public use of its parking lot and in order to change the easement on the front of the property facing Wilson Street to increase the sidewalk by 2 feet. Basically, this is something we've been working on to try to get ready for streetscape, and I was unaware that it still hadn't been finished. I know we're still working on one for Harris Bank, so hopefully we get that one at the next council meeting. Does anybody have any questions on it? Steve?
In reading through that document, I noticed that we're responsible for certain maintenance for damages that are incurred during our use. My only question is are we doing an adequate, photo documentation of what the existing conditions are so that we can avoid being on the hook for every little nick and ding?
I think we're even doing it out to measure it out and everything, so we know exactly what's there and what condition it is, so that way we don't, hey, this is not the same as it was before you guys did construction or, afterwards.
Good.
So we
That's
don't
just
get
good
stuck
business.
for-
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And we've done that with almost every one we've done as we're trying to line these up to increase the sidewalk space.
Any other discussion? Okay, the clerk, please call the roll then on Resolution 13-97-R.
Gotta make a motion.
I thought you made a motion.
Make a motion that we approve Resolution 13-97-R, authorizing easement agreements with the Fifth Third Bank for public parking and public sidewalk widening.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Wolf, second by Alderman O'Brien for the approval of Resolution 13-97-R, easement agreement with Fifth Third Bank for public parking and public sidewalk improvements. Any further discussion, Alderman?
Just one comment on that. We're using the parking lot, shared parking lot for a limited time, but it would be good to see, as we talk about parking in streetscapes, and we talked in the past about, you know, a culture change throughout our community to share the parking that's not being used. So this could be a step in the right direction, so I feel pretty positive about it all.
Other discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Wolf.
Aye.
Sparks.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan. Homan. Sam.
Aye.
Vasilian.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Brown. Oh, Alderman Brown's not here. Clark. Atak.
Aye.
Stark. Chanzit.
Resolution 13-97-R is approved, 13 yes, no nos, 1 absent. Moving to item number 14, approval of Interior for Businesses Art in Your Eye fundraiser hosted by Gibby's Wine Den. Who's got this one?
I do.
Alderman Sparks?
Thank you. Interiors for Business 409 North River Street is holding a celebration and chocolate fundraising event to unveil the Art in Your Eye 2013 poster on July 19, 2013. Jan Gibson of Gibby's Wine Den has asked and received permission in the past to serve and sell wine at such fundraising events and has submitted their application, dram shop insurance, consent from the owners of the premises and layout. They've done it before, we've had no problems, so I move that we approve a Class G liquor license to Gibby's Wine Den for interior business fundraiser and to waive the fees.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Sparks, second by Alderman Wolf for the approval of the Interior for Businesses Art in Your Eye fundraiser hosted by Gibby's Wine Den and that we waive the fees. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Sparks.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Homan.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Vasilian. Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Clark. Atak.
Aye.
Stark. Chanzit. Wolf.
Aye.
Motion's approved, 13 yes, no nos, 1 absent. While we're on this, I just want to throw one thing out for your information. The staff and myself, the police department, we have noticed that the State Liquor Commission is becoming much, much more stringent in the issuance of these licenses, to the degree that now to obtain one of these, somebody has to go with the proper documentation, the right check, the right everything to Chicago and basically go to the State of Illinois building and sit there and file an application, or else you have to send it in, I don't know, 2 months ahead of time. It's gotten to be much, much more intriguing and dicey, and then anybody that's now involved in liquor serving has to go through a class that's been put on by the membership of the Batavia Police Department. So we've had a lot more detail put on the city government as a result of issuing just these fundraiser, good event, feeling good liquor licenses. And it's become a much, much more, it used to be a relatively easy thing to do. It's no longer that way. I'm not so sure some of this isn't a fundraising activity on the part of the state of Illinois to make some more money, but that's what seems to be happening here. So we're spending a lot of time with these. So every one of these that you now see from now on, just put it in the back of your head, there's a lot of stuff that is going on to do this before we've gotten to the point that we're getting it to you. And we had a couple here rather recent, well, our triathlon went through a lot of hoops to get the ability just to serve a beer at the end of the triathlon. And the fireworks committee tried to do a little fundraiser, and we got them both done, but it was not without some degree of consternation. I just want to say that this has become a more cluttered process than it ever has been before. Hopefully, that's all for the good, and we're really keeping track of where the licenses are going and who's serving and all this other stuff, but it's gotten to be a very complex situation. It wasn't always seemingly this way. Okay, moving to item 16, because we already have handled 15, which was moved to 10A, the administrator's report. Mr. McGrath.
Thanks, Mayor. I know we've got some closed sessions, so I'll try and keep it short. What we're working on now is we're working on the next round of documents for strategic planning. We've sent out the basic topics of that to you a few months ago. Over the next several joint committee meetings, beginning in a few weeks, we'll be presenting the specific elements one by one with their details, and we want to discuss those. When we reach consensus, then those will be the basis for some action plans, which we'll bring back to you, and those will be basically funded by the budget. We're going to be bringing a review of the crime-free housing program to you shortly. We're still working on Prairie State options to divest of some of our power. Next week, we'll be discussing our year-to-date financials so everyone can get a little better understanding of how our reporting works. Tomorrow evening at the Joint Committee of the Whole, we're going to be reviewing the 2012 comprehensive annual financial reports. Our auditor will be there to assist if there's any questions, but Peggy will handle that presentation with you. She'll also be taking a lead on discussing the process by which sales tax information is shared, and that's something we do need to discuss. She's also going to make a presentation on the TIF, or the impact of the TIF district on our local taxing bodies. She's done a lot of work and some research, and I think you'll find the report interesting. Karen Young from engineering is going to do a presentation on the pavement management software. That's what we use to determine the various strategies for different segments of road in the city. We're going to have an update on the wastewater treatment plant facility upgrades in that project, and we're also going to be discussing the streetscape project, particularly the crosswalks and perhaps the retaining walls, the discussions we had last week, and we will also have a closed session regarding property acquisition. And that's all I have, other than the organizers of the Art in the ERI, the fundraiser that the mayor talked about earlier, asked me to invite you all to come to that. It's a fundraiser for Art in the ERI. It's going to be held at Interiors for Business at the Challenge Factory, which is just a wonderful reused space. And it's from 6 till 9 o'clock. There's a big theme of chocolate and wine, and the tickets are $10 a piece. And they unveiled this year's poster, which ultimately, and the original piece of art, which ultimately is given to the city for its own gallery. So they urged me to ask you to attend if you're interested. So that's all I have.
Any questions of the city administrator?
Thank you.
Okay, moving to committee reports, community development. Does anybody have anything in the absence of Alderman Brown? City services? Alderman Wolf?
Tomorrow night, we will have, TIF taxing body impact analysis is up. That's government services, but also impacting the TIF and streetscape. And then Wilson Street project crosswalks, somewhat shared with city services and community development. That's all.
Public utilities, Alderman Clark?
There's some wastewater treatment items on tomorrow night's agenda, and there's an executive session regarding public utilities also. So that's all I have. We didn't get a calendar, so.
City services, or government services, excuse me, Alderman Sparks?
Thank you, Your Honor. Kind of repeating things here. Peggy Cobio presenting the 2012 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report and Documents, and she will also be presenting the reciprocal sales tax agreement and authorized individuals, and she will also be presenting the TIF taxing body impact analysis. That's all we have under government service. Thank you.
Okay, other business. Anybody on the council have anything they wish to bring up?
I was going to just say I wanted to recognize John Dillon, going to work in the morning when they were putting in the water mains on Wilson Street, going to work in the morning at 5:30, it'd be John Dillon talking to the contractors. And leaving here at night, at 10 o'clock at night, after a meeting, there'd be John Dillon talking to the contractors. And I'm sure during the day, John Dillon was doing his job. So I just wanted to recognize John to the council and to the community that I think he's just doing a great job for us and represents us well.
Okay. Anybody else in the council? Okay, moving to the mayor's report, I just want to kind of give you a, I guess, come on up.
I read other business here, and I figured that the public could.
That's when, normally we change that now, so we have matters from the public, which we went through at the beginning, and
Yeah.
everybody wanted to speak about.
Okay, well, everybody else was all geared up on something else. I just noticed down here on executive session, you're going to be talking about city-owned property. Would that include the Batavia Baptist Church at this time? Or are you going to wait until after the open house on the 30th?
We're waiting until after the open house.
Okay, fine. Then I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, going back to 19, sometime in the next couple of months, I don't know when this is going to be, when we have one of our Tuesday night sessions, I want to have probably about a half hour that I would like to spend as the liquor commissioner talking to you about the liquor licenses in the city of Batavia and ask the police department to join with me on that night and share with you some of the issues that we've found happening in the community of Batavia revolving around our liquor licensees. And we've had some interesting developments take place, and I think I'm nearing the point where I may want to suggest to you that we should probably examine our hours of operation that we have our licensees allowed to operate, because we have some late night hours that are probably longer than many of our neighboring communities. And what we are now seemingly seeing that happen is that many of these other towns are closing down, and everybody's being invited to come to Batavia to carry on, and this has resulted in some unfortunate incidents taking place rather recently in the town. So the Chief Shiver and I have been talking at some length about this the last few weeks, and I think while I'm not prepared to, at this point, say that I want to suggest that you do this, I think we have some opportunities to have some conversations about it. The other one that's out there that's kind of kicking around in the same venue is the city of Batavia several years back made the decision to not allow video poker to take place in our restaurants and licensed establishments. I think that was a wise decision. I now have received several requests from some of our liquor licensees who would like us to revisit that discussion, and I think it's something that maybe, in fairness to them, they have asked that you may want to take a look at it. So I don't want to talk about this tonight, but you may want to look at your own ideas about video poker in Batavia if you think it's something that we should or should not be doing. I will tell you, I have been, for the lack of a better description, very disappointed in the management of this whole system by the state of Illinois to this point in time. As I indicated earlier, when it was originally unveiled, they were going to have a technological backbone that was going to be available on a second's notice to be able to monitor any machine in the state of Illinois to see if anybody was playing around with the machine. And so last I knew, we have not yet got the technology on the street to be able to do that. The other thing they were going to do was do extensive background checks on all the people who were applying for licenses. And last I knew, they hadn't had that opportunity to get that together either, but we went ahead and issued the video poker in the state of Illinois to those places that wanted to do it. I'm not at all convinced that this is something that's good for Batavia, but in fairness to those who are asking about it, I think we should probably at some future date, and it may be a couple months away, have a Tuesday night set aside a portion of the meeting to talk about those particular issues. So I'm just giving you a heads up that that's coming, so you can kind of, if you have any opportunities to engage anybody else in conversation about it, get their viewpoints, I'd encourage you to do so, because it's probably something that's going to be on your plate in some form or fashion over the near term. Okay, that being said, I would entertain a motion for executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to see
Joe, you gotta come up here and use the mic if you're gonna do this.
Thank you, Bill. Joan, take me up there. You know, first of all, I want to thank you very much for listening to us 2 weeks ago about the SSA 57. But you know, one of the most important things that we forgot to include and to bring home about the high taxes in Batavia. You know, I don't have to tell you that it is a very difficult thing to go forward in this town with the taxes being as high as they are. You know, we not only have the business section in downtown Batavia, not only has the taxes to contend with, we have the insurance that has gone up tremendously, and we have the cost of doing business, which is also another very important factor. And I would like to tell each and every one of the members here that you should think about how high the taxes have gone. They're going out of sight. And by the time, you know, in another year or so, if we keep going the way we're going, we're going to lose all of our business here in town. You know, we cannot command the business, the amount of money that we can get from our tenants in Batavia. Geneva gets a lot more, and St. Charles gets a lot more, and we do not get, and we cannot command that same amount. You ask a tenant to just increase their amount by $25 or $30, and they move out on you. And so I'm very concerned about it, and I'm sure that you should be, Mr. Mayor, and certainly every person on this board should be very concerned about the taxes in this community.
Well, Joe, let me just interrupt here for a moment.
Yes.
I want to respond to that. You know, this is not necessarily a forum for us to get into a debate with you, but I just want to share with you, you know, the city's share of your tax bill is kind of the small end of the thing. And if you look at your tax bill this year, your city's share of the property tax on most houses was about 67 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. The city of Batavia's 67 cents on the tax bill was in the lowest 10% of all the cities in the Chicagoland area. What the city is charging you. Now, when you add all the other taxing bodies who aren't in the room here to listen to your comment, I agree with you, it's a pretty high bill. But the city of Batavia, this group here, gives you one of the lowest property tax rates of any city in the Chicagoland area.
You know, I listen to Mayor Emanuel, and I see him fight with the union, he fights with the teachers, he gets involved in everything. Don't you get involved at all when the...
Mayor Emanuel's the only mayor in the state of Illinois that has any control over the school district. And, you know, that because that's constantly shown, I have people call me as the mayor of Batavia and say, can't you do something about changing my kid's teacher? Or can't you change my kid's bus stop? Or can't you get my kid a job or a position on the cheerleading squad? I've heard it all because they think the mayor has some power over the city has absolutely no control over the school district, the park district, the library district, the township, the county board. All those are separate taxing entities unto themselves, and they can do what they want to do. And if you look, I invite you, Joe, to go back and look at your tax bill and see what the city's share of your tax bill is. And I'm telling you, it's one of the lowest 10% of all cities in the Chicagoland area out of 273 towns.
The percentage of, the city tax bill is 12% of your tax
12%
bill.
of what you're paying is going to the city.
So in other words, I should go to the Batavia Park Board meeting next Tuesday.
I'd go to the school board first.
The school board is 67%.
Yeah, I think that's...
So, I mean, I appreciate what you have to say, and I think it's good for us to hear concerns like this, and that, you know, we should keep our nose to the grindstone to try to keep the property tax bill at a low level, which
Yes.
I think we've done a great job in trying to do. But, you know, we you know, I don't know how we can take this much lower than we have and maintain the services that we have on the street, because, you know, we're funding two ambulances in town, we're funding full-time fire department, we're funding, you know, a very professional police department, all the public works services. That's what we're paying for with this money that we get for the 67 cents per hundred, which is, as I say, is one of the lowest in the area.
It would be kind of a good thing if we could start getting some Class A tenants in this town, you know, that pay some pretty good tax money. You know, we've lost two of the best tax generators in this city, you know, when we lost Avenue Chevrolet and we lost the Hubbards. That took a big bite out of everything.
I would tell you that in both those cases, the city of Batavia did absolutely nothing to encourage those people to leave or lose their franchise or whatever happened. You know, we were out front. I would encourage you to talk to the clerk specifically, and I'm sure they'll tell you that the city stood with them through their whole fight. I was prepared to go to their arbitration hearing and everything else in support of them, and then, you know, it was what it was. It was a corporate decision made, I guess, in Detroit, and we had nothing to do with that. In the case of Hubbards, you know, I've known the Hubbard family. My family's been 5 generations with them in this town. And, you know, Bob and I went to high school together. We graduated together. And Bob tells me it was just time for him to retire, and he didn't have anybody else that could take it on. So he just made the decision to close it up. So it wasn't anything that the city did. So I am led to believe that made him had the decision to shut his furniture store down. You know, I will tell you about the Hubbards. When I first met the folks from Art Van, which is the new furniture store that's moving out on Randall Road at McKee Street here, it's going to open up in September, and I chatted with them. One of their questions to me was, what's the story with the Hubbards? And I told them what I knew, and they said, well, that confirmed what they had heard from other people, but because Hubbards was leaving was one of the reasons they were very interested in coming into Batavia, because they felt there was an opportunity for a void that had been created by the retirement of that firm in our community.
Very good. I thank you very much. I'm glad that you heard my story. Thank you.
Thank
You know,
you
I want you to know that I am concerned and that
And I thank you for your continued interest and support, and so everybody on the council knows Mr. Marconi has for 40 years, maybe longer than that, one of the biggest boosters that downtown Batavia has ever had. And he has put his money where his mouth is. He has constantly been at the forefront of any public improvement, whether it was the old downtowners or fix up the parking lots or contribute to some necessary fund. Joe was always there with his checkbook out, ready to make his contribution. So downtown Batavia has had no stronger supporter or friend than Mr. Marconi.
Yes,
And we're
I
always
know.
honored to have you come down and make your comments to us, because you've been a fighter for us. Joe has had a lot of conversations with me over the years. Sometimes I've been able to help him out, sometimes I haven't. He wants the library to have a front door on Batavia Avenue, and we haven't got that one accomplished yet.
Right.
But he's there, and he's brought a lot of good business to our community, and has always been a very forthright and very honest, and, you know, tells it like it is, and has helped make downtown Batavia what it has achieved. He deserves a lot of the credit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate those comments.
Okay, we're moving to 20 then, which is the executive session pending or eminent domain and discussion of city-owned property for sale or lease. So I'd entertain a motion that we enter executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by O'Brien, seconded by Clark. Did you want to?
You meant litigation,
Or did I say, what did I say?
domain,
What did I say?
domain.
Domain, eminent litigation.
Wow.
Clerk, call the roll.
O'Brien,
Aye.
Callahan, Bowman, Sam,
Aye.
Vasilian, Saron,
Aye.
McFadden,
Aye.
Clark, Atack,
Aye.
Stark, Chanzit, Wolf,
No.
Spark.
No.
Motion's approved, 11 yes, 2 no, 1 absent. We enter executive session.
You gotta just check